Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, delegates. It's wonderful to join you again at the New South Wales Nationals Conference. I'll save some thanks for Rick a bit later. I'll just apologise to start off with. I was here a little late because I did the park run this morning, and Gurmesh is pretty slow, so he held me up. But I just saw it. He just walked in himself. He, only just finished. But no, in truth, Gurmesh smoked me, actually. He's a really fit guy, ready to roll for the election next year. It's great to be back in Albury. Yes, as Rick kind of hinted at there, it's become a bit my second home down here in Farron. I've loved it, enjoyed it. It's a wonderful, beautiful part of our country, and I want to start by thanking all of you who helped me and the Federal Nationals team and Brad Robertson in that campaign. I want to pay special thanks to Brad and especially his wife Kate as well. They did a remarkable job over those few weeks, thrown into a baptism of fire, and it was a very, very tough campaign. We gave it a hell of a fight. We're here every day. I was here every night almost, some of those in a swag. Glad we auctioned off that swag at the Victorian Nats Conference. Good riddance, it's gone. But as I like to say to my team, opposition should not be comfortable. I'm not here for the long term in opposition. It is a camp. We've set down a camp, but we are going to take back government, take back this country and steer us on a better course. I do also want to thank all of my federal colleagues that helped during that and the support they've given me this first few months. Michael did great work on water in that campaign. I know Ross and Kevin came down. Kevin was also working on the budget during that busy time as well, leading up to that. We had Victorians from across the border come over in droves, like Bridget, who was here yesterday, and Sam, Darren, all helped out. And I also want to give a special shout out among my federal colleagues to Alison Penfold, who's doing a remarkable job in just her first year in Parliament. I don't think anyone else in the Federal Nationals team has been retweeted by J.K. Rowling, but Alison has. There's been this, I should say, Alison's been doing amazing work in a local community, right, with the floods and disasters. That's what she is really known for there locally. But she'd also made a commitment to do something during the election campaign and to do something about a question that had perplexed people in Canberra, all around the world actually. People just couldn't answer this question. It was a real brain breaker. But Alison's finally written an answer in federal law, a proposed federal law in a bill, to the question, what is a woman? So congratulations, Alison. We now know. We now know. What is a woman? We can answer that question, and may I say, we need to ensure that our laws protect women, protect their spaces, let them conduct activities without the threat of being dragged through the courts for just wanting to share an experience with other women. It is outrageous what's happened to some very good women in this country, and Alison's at the forefront, the Nationals at the forefront of fixing this mess. Can I go back to my state colleagues? I didn't want to skip over them because so many of them did help out in that Farrer election too. Gurmesh came down, of course, but so many others. Particular shout out to Steph Cook and all the great work she does there at Narrandera. Shining example of what we are in this party. Steph works tirelessly for her community and she delivers results. And while we haven't got a result on that drinking water yet, Steph, I know you've made some progress, and we'll be there all the way with the people of Narrandera too. I also want to thank the young Nats as well. They came down here in droves. Their president lost a car. Someone else from the Territory won a bunch of money on the pokies. That was good. But I don't think she shared it with anybody. She didn't help Charlie buy a new car, that's for sure. He's still without one, but he's got some old car. He's using someone's car at the moment. But it was great to have you, all your great energy. Fantastic to have you on the campaign, and I really look forward to working with you to take down this terrible Labor government too. Because I also want to thank the overall party here, the New South Wales Nationals Party. Actually, I forgot. I can't forget Tori. Tori, your team. Thank you, Tori, for the work you did here. Yeah, she deserves a round of applause. I'm glad I almost forgot that one. But Tori, amazing job with Molly, with Chris, with Beck, with your whole team. I'm probably missing people. Thank you so much. Thank you to Lincoln as well and the federal team, and also recognise Lincoln's service to our party as well, and wish him all the best in his future as well. But it does bring me to Rick, because I saved him to last. He introduced me, but I also wanted to thank Rick as well, because it was Rick a year ago at your last conference in Coffs Harbour who moved the motion against net zero. There at your conference in Coffs Harbour, I was privileged to be there, and you did create history there, because you were the first state party unit to make this charge, to put a flag in the ground and say, no, we're getting out of this rubbish. We're getting out of it, it's destroying our country, it's making us poorer, and you guys led the charge on that. And you did so in the way that demonstrates why our party is so great. You know, it was led by you. The motion was moved by Rick, but he couldn't deliver the outcome on his own. There was a spirited debate. There were different views. It was all of you as members who have changed the course of Australian political history by striking a blow against this policy and coming to a decision. And you can't say that for all political parties. Our political party does cherish our grassroots members. We're at our best when we do listen and follow the good wisdom and common sense of our grassroots members. And I want to say in my first New South Wales Nationals Conference as leader that I intend to always back you, to always fight for you, to always be guided by your common sense and groundedness, because you're in your communities. So I want to thank you for that. Because you have, as I said, you've changed history. You've been part of political history by being involved in that conference last year. I mean, even like a year ago, so much has happened in a year after you made that decision. I mean, even Barnaby Joyce now is against net zero after you've moved your conference. He used to be in favour of it, but you've convinced him, as well as many other people around the country. And a lot's happened in that year too. A lot's happened since the Farrer by-election. The week after that by-election, we had the budget come down. We had a budget come down that was built on lies and broken promises. People are reeling. And I still am struggling to get over the shock of it, honestly, because I had spent the previous 5 or 6 weeks, unlike the Prime Minister, the Labor Party didn't even show up here, didn't bother to show their face down here. But I had been here on the ground, spoken with Brad and others, with hundreds of small businesses, thousands of people, and almost universally the common reception or the common feedback I got was that we are struggling. We are really struggling. Families struggling to pay their bills. Small businesses just hanging on after massive increases in their costs and then the massive impact of the Iran war. And so you have that experience where you're camping out, you're listening to real people who aren't themselves ensconced in politics like I and we all tend to be sometimes. And then you go to Canberra, it's like it's a different universe, different planet. And they're not talking about the cost of living. They're not talking even about the Iran oil crisis. They're unleashing the biggest tax grab in Australian history that they didn't even say they were going to do before the election. Yeah, just shameful. And that's why you're seeing this reaction from the Australian people, because it's not just the broken promises and lies. That's galling enough. But it's the deep-seated feeling that the government in Canberra is just not listening. They don't understand. Because why? Why have we got a government that have spent months, obviously they spent months preparing to break these promises. They spent months in arcane sections of the Income Tax Assessment Act on trusts, on capital gains tax and negative gearing. And they wasted their time not focusing on, well, how can we lower energy prices? How can we lower the cost of living? This was the first budget that this government's delivered. They've delivered 4 now. This was the first one that they didn't even promise to lower energy prices in. Every other budget they've given, they've at least paid lip service and said, well, we're investing in clean energy. It's going to bring prices down. This budget, they didn't even bother to mention it. No mention of energy prices. I mean, how can you be a government of this country right now and not, in your premier economic statement, mention the escalating cost of energy in this country? It's the most common thing that comes back to me, but this government has its complete head in the sand. And so since that budget, I've been back on the road when I'm not in Canberra and been going around talking to small businesses, had a round table, or some businesses in Kevin's electorate this week, and Rockhampton had a round table. And the common feedback I get is people just feel like they've done everything that the country asked of them. They invested, they're working hard for their families, and then the rules have been changed after the whistle blew. Someone said that, small business in Kevin's electorate said that to us, that the whistle's gone and they've then changed the rules. And I initially said, well, I thought that only happens in State of Origin games. But that's all right, we'll get revenge this week, it's okay. The ledger will be squared. But for people that have mortgaged their homes, right, put their lives on the line, how can you have a government to do that? And, we've got this major issue in this country of how do we lift our living standards? And we've now got a budget, an economic document, that has zero plan to lift economic growth. Zero plan. Where the national accounts come out last week, and it confirmed that the first 4 years of this government have seen, for the first time in economic history, have seen productivity go backwards, go down. We've never had a 4-year period in our nation's history where our productivity has been negative. It's never happened. And then this government's not only broken that record, it has gone down 5%. Like, it's way down, it's off a cliff. And this comes after just a year ago, you might not remember now, so much has happened, but just a year ago, about 9 months ago, the government actually convened a productivity roundtable. Do you remember that? They got everybody to Canberra, it was a big fanfare. The Treasurer said productivity is the most important thing in the world. It's what drives our incomes. He's right, that's exactly what it does. But they wasted everybody's time because they've barely mentioned it since. And they don't have a plan for it now. And so I thought, I was in Senate estimates last week or a couple of weeks ago, I can't know, I remember, I get confused now. A week or two ago, I was in Senate estimates, and I thought maybe I'll just put the question to the Finance Minister. What's your plan for productivity? I was a little bit concerned because it's a bit of a Dixer, right? Like, if you're going to ask, Dorothy Dixer, an easy question, right? An easy question for a minister. Say, what's your plan for national security, or what's your plan for economic growth? Any half-competent government should just have, bang, here's a page of what we're doing. Here's a list. I can go chapter and verse, whack, whack, whack. Even if it's all rubbish, they should be able to do it. But here's Katie Gallagher's response. I think we've got it queued up. If somebody can chuck it up on the screen now, you'll see what Katie Gallagher, your nation's finance minister, has to say to you about their plan. What elements of your budget help increase productivity?
So there is a glossy, a A4 there.
So there's a glossy.
How
does a glossy help productivity?
Okay.
That's it. That's their plan. You reckon these guys got to go? They got to go? I think we need someone that has a plan, right? We need someone that has a plan. We need it desperately right now because we've just seen how vulnerable we are as a country. We've had the national embarrassment of our Prime Minister having to travel the world, cap in hand, to find fuel, find oil for us. How does this happen in a country that we have our own continent? Surely we don't need to go to a country like Singapore. Great, Singapore's a fantastic place, love it. But it's a small little island. And we're going there to ask them for basic essentials. How have we got to this point? We have been saying this for a long time in the Nationals Party. It just was coincidental that a week or two after this crisis started, the Page Research Centre, the Nationals Party think tank basically, the Page Research Centre released a report. And it's released a statistic that I think all Australians should become familiar with. half of our nation's imports, half of our imports by weight are in liquid fuels. Half of them. Everything we import. Well, we import a lot of stuff, right, these days. Import our clothes, our cars, our furniture that you're sitting on, lights, all this stuff would be imported, right? Basically, everything in this room almost would be imported. But half of them are actually not in this room. Half of them are in your cars outside and in your fuel tanks. That's how dependent we are. And so I love our defence forces, but do you reckon we have a navy at the moment that can defend half the shipping lanes to our country? So what happens? What happens if we face this conflict where our shipping lanes are held up? We don't have this answer right now. And that's why in our budget reply, in Angus's speech and mine as well in the Senate, we made a very key point of saying, look guys, we've got to drop this net zero madness. In a war, in a foxhole, there are no supporters of net zero, right? But all that belief goes. You get another belief in a foxhole, but that's another story. But, we have to drop this now before we get into any kind of conflict. We have to get back to using all of our resources. We have to get back to using our coal-fired power stations. We should build coal-fired power stations again. We should use our coal to convert to liquids. So we're ready in case. We've got an amazing resource. We have enough energy. We have enough energy in this country to fuel Australia for 1,000 years. For 1,000 years. On current use. And current, we actually have way more, but that's just what we know we have. Our problem is 95% of that energy is in coal or uranium. The two things that this government, the Labor Party, won't use. It's a bit of a problem. And you start to realise why energy prices are through the roof. But it's not just the government that's the problem here, not just them. If it was them, we just had to get rid of them and we'd be right. But we do have another problem because not long after I became leader, myself and Kevin and Susan McDonald, our Resources Shadow Minister, we all wrote to our banks, to the nation's banks, and said, hey, we just want to check, would you guys finance an oil refinery? Would you do that? Would you bank it? Like, we need an oil refinery, right? We need some more built. Would you do it? Well, as you'd expect, we got pretty mealy-mouthed responses. Most of them, it's not exactly clear. One bank got back to me, they informally called my office. I won't embarrass them, but they got back to me and said, look, we'd love to finance an oil refinery, but we just need a law telling us that it's in our national security interest to do so. Yeah. I mean, what the hell, guys? Why do we need the Parliament to childmind you? I think you should know that our oil security is in our national interest, and maybe you should look at backing it. So I was a little perplexed. I was a little pissed off with that response. But I then thought, well, okay, if you guys want a law, I've actually got a law. I drafted a law when I was in isolation on the backbench. I drafted a law which said, okay, it should now be illegal for any bank to discriminate against a farming and mining business unless it's a financial reason to do so. Simple as that, right? What do you reckon? Simple as that. Our banks should be there to help our economy, not to be a quasi-parliament dictating to the rest of us what we should do. I mean, who the hell appointed these guys as moral guardians anyway? These are the banks. These are the banks. Went through the whole Royal Commission. They were forging signatures, charging fees to dead people. And then they have the temerity to come along and say, okay, no, we'll tell you what to do. We'll tell you, well, you can do this, you can't do that. We might be able to let you do some regenerative farming, but you can't do live export. That's really bad. Well, guys, if you want to decide what happens in this country or not, you should stand for Parliament and get elected. That's the job of a representative body in a democracy. It is not the job of an unelected board, sometimes sitting in other countries, to determine what happens in our country. Should not happen. So I'm going to resurrect that law now. I'm going to give it a go. Let's see what it goes, because if the banks need this sort of instruction, well, let's give it to them. It's happened in the US. 14 states in the US have passed laws like this, and it's effectively killed ESG there. And if you don't know what ESG stands for, it stands for Extreme Shortages Guaranteed. So we've got to end that. We've got to kill this net zero finance before it destroys us as a country. And we've got to recognise the time we're in right now. It's a volatile time in politics, we could all see. It shouldn't take us too much to recognise or understand why that's the case. Why is that the case? Well, people have this deep-seated feeling that things aren't right. Things haven't gone the way we were promised they would. And it's not just the Labor Party. I mean, their broken promises are kind of the final nail in the coffin of the trust in institutions in our country. But there's been a lot of promises made to my generation, to Australians in the last few decades. We were promised that competition policy and making all farms competitive in the market would make us all richer. Well, instead, we've got corporates that have tax advantages now, who can just buy up all the water and land, outbid family farmers. We were promised that we'd protect all the frogs and environment. Wouldn't it be lovely? But instead, we just shut down lots of towns and industries, and we haven't delivered significant environment benefits given the cost and spending. Look at that Narrandera water. We've spent $10 billion on a basin plan. We can't even deliver clean drinking water to a country town. That was wrong. We were promised that China coming to WTO would make us all richer and wealthier, and in a way it kind of has, but what's the good of having a cheap Spanish set at Bunnings if we can't fill up the car to get there in the first place? All right? What good is that? We're promised that everybody getting the opportunity to work and having equal rights in the workplace would be great. Instead, now just everyone has to work, sometimes 2 jobs, and they have no time to spend with their kids and their family. That's why people are upset. And we need to have a fundamental rethink about what we're doing. We need to bury the idea that we just continue on this neoliberal experiment, which is now bankrupt. We've got to get back to worrying about our own country, to putting Australia first, to putting the interests of families first, and that's why I am unashamedly a patriot for Australia. That's who I am. I want to put this country first. And I want to put our interests first more than I want to maximise GDP or worry about people's careers. It's not about just working, right? My fundamental political philosophy is that what I really want is like what C.S. Lewis wrote. I want as many Australian families as possible to be able to just enjoy a Sunday afternoon where they can spend time with their kids, watch the footy, go to the pub if they like to, whatever it is, relax, go fishing, whatever, and not have a worry in the world. But people don't have that right now. They have a lot of worries in the world right now. And so we've got to fix that. And the way we fix that is focusing on our country again. The way we fix that is building things again, getting the inland rail going again. Like, what the hell is that? Like, why has the government done that? It's crazy. It hurts this town. Get that going. Build dams and ports and rail lines again. Scrap this net zero idea and bring down the cost of living. Focus on that. We should be building more cities. We've got to get out of just Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane. Otherwise, we're going to be crammed in, and people are just going to have an apartment to live in. I don't think that'll destroy the Australian way of life if that's our future. I don't want that. And yeah, we've got to encourage people. We need to have more babies, right, as well. We need to have more families. We need to create an environment where people can do that, they've got the income to do that, the hope and optimism about the future to do that as well. And to do those things, I firmly believe we have to have a strong Nationals Party to achieve it. We are the only party in the country that is solely and exclusively focused on regional Australia. And our future is going to be written in regional Australia. I don't want people that live outside the capital cities to become a permanent minority class. If we don't continue as a party, if we don't continue to be strong, well, the volume will be turned down on regional Australia. I can see it in the Australian Parliament. The capital cities have 2/3 of the votes, guys. So we've got to stand up. We're the only party that does that. Look at Queensland, where I'm from. There's 2 senators from our party. There's 2 senators from One Nation. Susan and I are in Townsville and Rocky. We're on the ground. Our officers are on the street. You can walk into us. The One Nation party, their senators are both on the level 36 of a skyscraper in Brisbane. I love what G.K. Chesterton said. I loved it before as a politician. It's probably harder to say now. But G.K. Chesterton said that we should keep our politicians close enough that we can give them a kick every now and again. And I'm close enough for that to happen in Rocky. And yes, we've deserved a bit of a kick. We deserved it. We made some mistakes. But I'm committed to charting a different course for our country. I myself fought against this net zero agenda for years. I did think we went a bit crazy during COVID towards the end. Everyone makes mistakes. But we need this Nationals Party. We need our country to grow and develop in our regions so that we give the promise for future Australians to have that family, have the space, to live up to the potential of our nation as a pioneering country that offers support, opportunity and wealth for so many people. Thank you for all you do in the Nationals Party. Thank you again for what you did last year to kickstart our revival. We've got to now revive our country. We've got to reboot Australia. We've got to go hyper-Australia, as I like to say. We just need more Australia. We need more of everything. I'm very hopeful and optimistic for the future. Thank you very much for having me at your conference again. Enjoy the rest of it and God bless. Thank you, Rick.